Good day everyone. Welcome back to Basic Computer Languages. Before we start our next lesson, we will have a review first from our previous lesson. So, ang gagawin po natin is magkakaroon tayo ng or magki-create po tayo ng program na kung saan i-print niya po yung last name, yung first name at saka yung middle initial na kukunin po natin sa may user po natin. So, sa pinakadulo is ibibigay niya or i-print po natin yung hello, first name, last name, and middle initial. So, umpisahan po muna natin dito sa may F name or the last name at saka sa middle initial. So, we will input the include iStream. Names using namespace std, then int name. Braces, and then we will set the data type for F name, L name, and middle initial. So we will use string for this program. String F name, L name, and middle initial. Next po is kailangan nating makuha yung mismong last name ng ating user. So magkakandak ang ilalagay po natin is cout, and then please type your name, type your last name. And then, kunin po natin or magkakaroon tayo ng console input para ma-input po ng user ang kanyang last name. So, cin, and then, L name. Next, for the first name, the same po yung gagawin natin dito. So, cout, please type your first name. Cin, then F name. The same po sa middle initial. Ang pinakahuli po is, we will print hello, F name, L name, and middle initial. So, cout, hello, and then tatawagin po natin si first name will be F name. And then, lagyan din po natin siya ng space before yung last name. Yung last name. So, maglalagay ulit tayo ng quotation mark para sa space. And then, lagyan din natin siya ng comma. Sige, ano na lang po. Ang ilalagay na lang natin is space. And then, tatawagin na natin si L name or the last name. And then, space ulit. And then, yung middle initial na. Semicolon. And then, we will terminate the program. We will type the return 0. So, we will save our program. First name. So, please type your last name, Prado. Please type your first name, Mylene. And then, please type your middle initial, C. So, hello, Mylene Prado C. So, yan po yung ating first program. So, kung mapapansin po ninyo dito, gumamit tayo ng data type, which is the string. Na ang string ay ginagamit po sa mga sa mga letters po. And then, ang cout po is ginagamit para mag-display tayo ng information. And then, ang cin naman po is ginagamit kapag meron tayong gustong i-input or gustong kunin sa mismong user ng ating program. And then, every cin po, meron pong ilalagay na dalawang greater than na sign. And then, yung tatawagan or yung paglalagyan po natin ng data, which is kung anong variable po or identifier yung sinet natin dito sa may taas. So, ito po yung paggamit ng cout and cin. So, let's proceed to our next topic, which is the mathematical library functions and different control structures. So, first one is the mathematical library functions. So, ano po bang gamit ng mathematical library functions? So, kung mapapansin niyo po dito, meron tayong bagong headers na ilalagay sa C++, which is the include math h and include std library or lib.h. So, ilalagay po natin tong dalawang to dito sa may taas after ng include iostream. So, depende po kung ano yung paggagamitan natin. Itong include math h or math.h, ginagamit po ito sa mga mathematical formula na kung saan may kailangan lumabas na mga decimal or float. And then, ang include std_lib naman po is ginagamit po siya sa mga mathematical formula na kung saan more on integers lang talaga or mga positive and more on integers or whole numbers lang talaga yung mga answers po nila. Pero, itong dalawang to is pwede po natin siyang ilagay ng sabay dito po sa mismong C++ po natin. So, kung nalilito kayo kung ano yung gusto nyong gamitin or kung paano silang gamitin pareho, okay lang naman na ilagay silang pareho. So, ilalagay po natin sila dito sa may taas, which is the include math h and include std_lib.h. So, ganito po yung magiging itsura niya kapag ilagay na po natin itong dalawang bagong headers na pag-aaralan natin. So, ayan na po. So, ano ba yung mga gamit nito? Or para saan ba itong include math.h at saka include std_lib.h? So, ito po yung pinakagamit po niya. The function is ito po yung sakop ng dalawang headers na tinuro ko kanina. Yung absolute value, square root, power, the cosine, the sine, the tangent, exponential, and the algorithm. So, paano ba, or the logs. So, paano ba ginagamit tong mga to? So, magbibigay po ako ng example para sa absolute value, square root, and the power. So, unahin po muna natin yung absolute value. So, ang kailangan natin gawing program is, kailangan kukuha po ang program ng isang number sa isang user. And then, ibibigay niya po yung absolute value ng mismong number na ibibigay ng user. So, paano ba yon? Siyempre, isang number lang yung kailangan natin. So, magsiset po tayo ng isang variable na gagamitin. So, it's either float or integer. Pero kasi ang absolute value more on whole number. So, ang gagamitin po natin is int. So, int, and then x po yung gagamitin ko for the number. And then, cout. So, lalagyan lang natin siya ng konting information. So, this program can determine the absolute value of a number. Then, semicolon. And then, kukunin na po natin yung mismong number na gusto nating absolute value or kukunin natin yung answer. So, cout. And then, type a number. So, ang gagawin po natin is, hingi tayo ng isang number kay user. So, type a number. And then, cin. Kung saan natin ilalagay yung number na ibibigay na user, which is, ilalagay po natin siya dito sa may x. So, Yung lalagay natin dito is x. Semicolon. And then, next po is, ang gagawin na po natin is yung formula mismo ng sagot dito sa absolute value. So, may nakalimutan tayo na isang variable pa, yung paglalagyan mismo ng sagot. So, maglalagay tayo ng int x and int answer. So, ans na lang po yung ilalagay kong variable. So, ans is equals to, kung mapapansin niyo po dito sa may PowerPoint, abs po yung gagamitin natin na function. So, abs, and then, ilalagay po natin si x sa loob, kasi ito yung i-compute natin, or ito yung i-absolute value natin, yung mismong x na nilagay po mismo ng user. So, after ng x, syempre, wag natin kakalimutan ang semicolon. After natin malagay, syempre, ang formula, ibibigay na po, or di-display na po mismo ng program yung sagot. Which is, ang kailangan nating ilagay is cout. So, cout, the absolute value para mas okay po siya, mas okay kung i-display din natin yung nilagay niya na number. So, the absolute value of, tawagin natin si x, the absolute value of x, which is the number, and then, lagyan ulit natin ng quotation, the absolute value of x is, saka natin tatawagin po yung answer, semicolon. So, we will try to run the program. So, wag nyo laging nakalimutan po si return 0. F11. So, kung makikita nyo dito, this program can determine the absolute value of a number. Pero, hindi po siya nakababa. So, dagdagan po natin siya ng /n dito sa may after ng e-number. /n, and then run. So, ayan na. So, this program can determine the absolute value of a number. So, type a number. So, for example, -9. So, the absolute value of -9 is 9. So, ito po yung example ng paggamit ng include math.h, include math.h, and include stdlive.h. So, next naman tayo. Ang gamit naman po ni square root. Sa paggamit naman ng square root, almost the same lang naman sila ni absolute. Siyempre, ang papalitan lang po natin is yung mismong square root. So, the same. So, papalitan lang po natin ito ng, so, this program can determine the square root of a number. And then, the same, kasi kukuha tayo ng isang number sa user, which is the x. And then, dito po natin siya mismo papalitan sa may formula, which is SQRT. And then, sa loob ng SQRT is the x, which is the number again, then semicolon. And then, the absolute value, so papalitan din po natin ito. So, the square root of the number, which is the x, is the answer. Lagyan din natin siya ng period para mas maganda po yung program. So, ayan. So, we will try to run the program. This program can determine the square root of a number. So, type a number. For example, 25. So, ayan. The square root of 25 is 5. So, another. For example, 124. Type a number, 124. The square root of 124 is 11. So, yan po yung paggamit ng square root. So, let's try to use the power. So, delete po muna natin to para hindi kayo masyadong malito. So, dito po sa power, ang kailangan po is dalawa. Kasi yung number, at saka kung ilan po, or yung mismong i-raise natin. Ayan. So, returns x raised, or the number raised to the y power. So, kukunin po natin yung power po ng each number or yung answer po. So, see out. This program can calculate the power of a number. This program can calculate the... Ayan, palitan natin. This program can calculate a number with power. Ayan, so semicolon. And then see out. Kukuhanin muna natin yung number. Type the number. Semicolon. So, ayan. So, nakalimutan natin siyang iset yung mismong mga variables na gagamitin natin. So, gagamitin po natin is int num for the number, and then int power or int, mas okay kung y na lang po yung gagamitin natin. So, int num and then y for the power, and then next po is yung answer or saan natin ilalagay yung mismong sagot. So, see out, type the number, and then see in, saan po natin ilalagay si number? So, sa may num. Yan. And then, see out for the power or for the raised. Type the raised number. Semicolon. And then, see in the y, and then ilalagay na po natin yung formula, which is answer or ans is equals to power or pow, and then parenthesis, inside the parenthesis is the number, and then yung kung saan po natin yung raised mismo, yung raised number, so the y. So, tapos na po, and then semicolon. And then, i-display na po natin yung sagot. The number, and then, the number num, or the number x, the number, quotation mark, the number raised to the y, and then power is, ayan. So, yun na po yung sentence natin. So, number blank raised to the blank power is blank. Ayan. So, tatawagin na po natin si answer. Semicolon. And then, we will run the program. So, this program can calculate this program can calculate a number with power. So, lagyan ulit natin ng /n. So, ulit. Ayan. So, type the number. So, for example, 2. And then, type the raised number, also 2. So, 2 times 2 is equals to 4. So, the number 2 raised to the 2 power is 4. So, ulitin po natin. Ulit tayo ng isa pa. For example, 6. And then, 6 din po yung power niya, or the raised number. So, the number 6 raised to the 6 power is 46,656. So, ito po yung gamit ng power. So, dito po sa may cosine, sine, tangent, and exponential, and the algorithm, hindi ko na po siya i-discuss ng isa-isa kasi the same lang din naman po yung gamit. So, ganito po yung gamit nila. The same sa absolute, square root, and power. So, I have here an example, which is the distance is equal to square root of x, x sub 1 minus x sub 2 to the second power plus y sub 1 minus y sub 2 to the second power. So, ang formula po nito kapag sa mismong program is ganito po. Distance is equals to square root, and then yung sa loob po ng power is yung x, which is the x sub 1 minus x sub 2, and then comma, ito po yung ni-raise natin sa second power, which is ito. And then plus power, and then parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, another parenthesis is the y sub 1 minus y sub 2, and then close parenthesis, and then comma to the second power. So, ito po yung pinaka-formula po natin. So, ang kailangan nating makuha sa user is the x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, and y sub 2. So, ito po yung ating flowchart. So, ang kailangan nating iset na mga variables are the x1, x2, y1, y2, and the distance. And then, print enter value for x sub 1. And then, magbibigay po si user ng x sub 1. The same sa x sub 2, y sub 1, and y sub 2. And then, sa pinakadulo po is yung formula ng distance. And lastly, ipiprint niya na po yung answer ng distance or yung pinaka-answer. So, we will try to create this program. Paano to ipoprogram sa mismong C++? So, balikan natin yung dev C++. So, ang kailangan po natin dito is the x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, y sub 2, and then yung paglalagyan po natin ng answer. So we will use the float para if ever po na may decimal, is lumabas po talaga yung mismong sagot. So, we will use the float. And then, float x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, y sub 2, and then the answer. So, lalagyan din natin sila ng 0 kasi sa umpisa po ng program is wala pa naman silang laman. Is equals to 0. So, palitan po natin yung answer ng distance para mas clear. Ayan. And then, next po is we will get the value for x sub 1. C out. And then, this program can determine the distance, or this program can calculate the distance. And then /n. Next, kukunin na po natin yung value ng x sub 1. So, enter the value for x1. And then, semicolon sa dulo. And then, cin. And then, kung saan natin ilalagay si x1, which is x1 din naman. So, ang gagawin po natin para mas mabilis is copy-paste na lang natin to ng 4 na beses. Ayan, 3 beses lang pala. And then, palitan na lang po natin yung x1 ng x2, y1, and y2. So, x2. Then, the same dito, x2. And then, y1. y1. And then, y2. And then, y2. Next po is, ilalagay na po natin yung mismong formula ng distance, which is, distance is equals to, balikan natin yung nandito kanina. So, distance is equals to square root of power Then, sa loob ng power, lalagay ulit tayo ng isa pang or dalawa pang parenthesis. And then, x sub 1 plus minus x sub 2. And then, sa labas nito is yung power, which is 2. Then, labas tayo. Ayan. And then, next is plus. Plus power. And then, parenthesis ulit. Dalawang parenthesis ulit. And then, x, y1 minus y2. Sa labas ng y2, yung mismong power, which is 2. So, tapos na po ang ating formula. Huwag natin kakalimutan si semicolon. And then, we will display the answer, which is the distance is, saka natin i-display po si distance. Then, lagyan natin ng period. Ayan. Then, semicolon. So, tapos na po ang ating program. Let us try to run the program. So, kung makikita nyo dito, nagkaroon ng problem dito sa float. So, ayan. So, meron ditong isa na nawala na minus sign. Then, let's try again. So, ayan. Nag-run na po siya. So, this program can calculate the distance. So, enter the value for x1, which is, for example, 2. And then, enter the value for x2, for example, 1. And then, y1, 9. And then, y2 is 8. 7, for example. So, the distance is 2.23607. So, ito na po yung pinaka-sagot. So, yan po yung paggamit ng include math.h and stdlive.h. So, wag nyo pong kakalimutan itong dalawa, tapos, itong lahat ng to. So, yun po yung gamit nitong absolute value, square root, power, cosine, sine, tangent, exponential, and logarithm or algorithm. Ayan. So, let's proceed to the control structures of the C++ programming language. So, first one is the sequence structure. So, when we say sequence structure, it is a sequential control structure where the statements are executed in sequence or sequentially. So, ito po kasing sequence structure is ito yung pinakasimpleng structure ng isang C++ program. Kasi, ito pong ginawa natin na kanina, which is the calculation of distance. This is an example of sequence structure kasi tuloy-tuloy lang po yung process. So, wala pong choices na nagaganap po dito sa may sequence structure. Wala siyang if then else or walang mga choices na nagaganap. So, dire-diretso po siya. Ang meron lang siya sa flowchart is syempre yung for preparation or initialization, and then process, and then the input and output symbol. So, yun lang po yung meron kapag sequence structure. So, let us try to program this flowchart. So, we will get the area of a triangle. So, dito, nakaset na po yung value ng base, height, and then the constant, which is 1/2. So, we will delete this program. And then, delete na po natin dito si include math.h at saka stdlive.h kasi hindi na po tayo nangailangan ng mga discuss natin kaninang mga function. Ayan. So, first one, we will set the variable area, base, height, and constant. So, ang gagamitin po natin dito is int. Kasi dito naman, napapansin nyo, ay hindi. Ang gagamitin na lang natin dito is float kasi meron ditong 1/2. So, float is equal, float po, and then area is equals to 0. And then base is equals to 15. And then height equals to 4. And lastly, the constant equals to 0.5. Ayan. Then semicolon. Next, ilalagay na po natin agad si area. Yung formula ng area, which is area is equals to constant times parenthesis base times height. Base times height. And then semicolon. Height. Ayan. And then C out. The area of a triangle is, saka po natin tawagin si area. Then semicolon. Let's try to run the program. So the area of a triangle is 30. So lagyan lang natin ng space before yung 30 para mas okay siyang basahin. So space dito po sa after ng is. So F11. So ayan na po yung pinaka program po natin. So paano naman kung gusto natin na yung mismong user yung magbibigay ng base at saka ng height? So, lalagyan natin dito syempre sa may base is 0 kasi wala pang laman si base at saka si height. And then, si constant po is as is na yan. Pati yung area dito is as is na. Ang gagawin nilang natin is syempre, hihingin natin si base at saka si height kay mismong user. So, C out. So, lagyan din natin ng simple display before the before natin kunin yung base at saka height. So, this program can calculate the area of a triangle. Ayan. Then slash n, semicolon, and then we will get the base and the height from the user. So, C out, enter the base of the triangle, and then semicolon. Saan natin ilalagay si base? And then, so, C in, and then base. Next, C out for the height. Enter the height of the triangle, semicolon, and then C in. Next is the height. Semicolon. So, let's try to run the program. F11. So, ayan. So, this program can calculate the area of a triangle. Enter the base of the triangle. For example, 5. And then, enter the height of the triangle. Which, for example, 9. So, the area of the triangle is 22.5. So, yan po yung pagkuha ng area ng triangle. So, ito po yung example ng sequence structure kasi tuloy-tuloy nga po yung program. Wala na siyang, hindi siya naghihingi ng conditions, kumbaga. So, this is the simplest structure of an C++ program. For our exercise 1, to create a program that uses sequence structure that would accept a radius of a circle and compute its area, circumference, and diameter. So, ang kukunin lang po nating input from the user is yung radius. And then, i-compute na po natin yung area, circumference, at saka yung diameter. So, kung mapapansin nyo, dito sa my area, gagamit tayo ng power. So, gagamit na rin po tayo ng math.h at saka yung yung stdlive.h. So, ayun nga, ang isiset po nating mga variables are the radius, area, circumference, and the diameter. So, let's start our program. So, delete po muna na rin to. And then, gamitin po natin si #include math.h and the include stdlive.h. So, ayan. And then, we will set the variables radius, circumference, diameter, and area. So, we will use the float para if ever na may mga decimals po na sagot is mapalabas po natin. So, float radius or r na lang para hindi masyadong mahaba. So, float r and then area is equals to 0. The same kay r. And then, circumference. So, circum na lang po muna. Is equals to 0. And lastly is the diameter. Diam na lang. And then, is equals to 0. So, ayan. Yung int main natin, nakalimutan ko pala. So, Control X. Ayan. So, next po is kukunin na po natin yung radius mula kay user. So, cout, type the radius, then semicolon, cin, next is r for the radius. After nito, we will type the formula for area, circumference, and diameter. So, area is equals to pi, which is 3.14 pi times radius. So, radius is r. So, kung mapapansin nyo dito, kailangan natin gumamit ng power. So, before yung 3.14, lalagyan natin ng power or the pow. And then, sa loob ng parenthesis, dalawang parenthesis. Kasi, magkasama po si 3.14 times radius. Close parenthesis. And then, comma for the second power. So, 2. Then, close po natin. So, tapos na po yung area. Next naman, yung kay circumference, which is yung tinamit nating variable is circum. Circum is equals to 2 times pi, which is 3.14 times radius, which is the r. So, semicolon. Next naman is yung diameter, which is yung ginamit po nating variable is diam. Diam is equals to 2 times radius. So, 2 times r, semicolon. So, tapos na po nating ilagay yung mga formula na gagamitin natin. So, ang next na po natin gagawin is i-display na po natin yung answer. So, gagamit na po tayo ng cout. So, cout, the area of the circle is, and then, tawagin natin si area. And then, lagyan din natin ng period after ni area. And then, /n para bumaba po si circumference. And semicolon. Next, cout is equals to the circumference of the circle is space. Saka natin tawagin si circum. And then, the same sa kanina, lagyan po natin itong period. So, copy, and then paste. And lastly, syempre, yung kay diameter. So, the diameter of the circle is, tawagin natin si diam. And then, the same dito kanina, lagyan natin ng period. So, no need kay /n kasi wala na namang kasunod. So, huwag kakalimutan si return 0. So, we will try to run the program, F11. So, type the radius. So, for example, the radius is 8. So, ayan. So, the area of the circle is 631.014. Ayan. And then, the circumference of the circle is 50.24. And the diameter of the circle is 16. So, yun na po yung answer natin. So, ito po yung paraan ng pagpuprogram for the sequence structure. So, ito po yung codes po natin dito. So, kung mapapansin nyo, una, sinet muna natin yung data types na gagamitin natin, which is float, para mas akma po yung sagot natin, makuha yung decimal. And then, nilagay po natin yung mga variables na gagamitin natin, which are the radius, area, circumference, and diameter. And then, kung mapapansin nyo dito, cout, and then, kinuha natin yung radius from the user, which is ginamitan natin ng cin and then r. After nito, nilagay natin dito yung formula na gagamitin po natin for the area, circumference, and diameter. And dito po sa huli, saka natin din-display yung mga kailangan nating i-display, which are the area, circumference, and then diameter. So, let's go back to our presentation. So, natapos na po natin yung exercise 1. Ayan. So, next naman tayo dito sa may exercise 2. Ang sabi dito, create a program that would accept two numbers and represented by x and y. Print the two numbers after interchanging their values. So, ibig sabihin, kukuha tayo ng number na dalawa. Pero, yung x po, ang kailangan niyang i-display is yung y na value, and then yung value ng y is magiging x na value. So, pagpapalitin po natin yung dalawa. So, paano ba yon? So, i-delete po ulit natin yung C, include dito, kasi hindi naman natin kailangan. And then, delete natin yung pinakalaman. So, for example, gagamitan natin siya ng integer kasi ang kailangan lang naman natin is whole number. So, for example, whole number lang. So, whole number x is equals to 0, and then y is equals to 0, semicolon, and then cout, kailangan natin kumuha ng dalawang number. So, cout, enter the first number, or enter the x. Ayan, enter the x, semicolon, saka natin siya ilagay sa x. So, cin, and then x. Next, cout. Next po is enter the y. And then semicolon, cin, and then y. Saka po natin sila i-interchange. And then saka po natin i-display po yung mismong or yung interchange or new value ng x and y. So, we will type the cout, and then the new value of x is space. And then, saka natin tawagin si y kasi nga pagpapalitin natin. So, the value of x is y. And then, another quotation, the new value of x is the number na i-store sa y, and the new value the new value of y is, saka po yung ilagay natin is the value of x. And then, lagyan natin ng period. Ayan. Semicolon. We will run the program. So, enter the x. For example, 85. And then, enter the y. So, for example, 10. So, the new value of x is 10, which is value ng y. And the new value of y is 85, which is the value of x. So, ito po yung code kung paano mag-interchange yung dalawang value, which are the x and y. So, tapos na po natin yung exercise 1 and exercise 2, which is nasa may sequence structure. Dito naman po tayo sa may selection structure. When we say selection structure, it is also called the conditional control structure, which is used for choosing between two courses of action. So, meron kasi tayong iba't ibang selection structure. Yung pinakauna po is yung if structure na kung saan this statement is executed only if a logical condition evaluates to true. Ibig sabihin, if the condition is true, then gagawin niya to. Kapag nag-false po siya, automatic na mag-end na po yung mismong program. So, ano nga bang mga examples nito? Or paano natin i-code yung if structure? So, ito po yung example. So, we will create a program that will determine if the number assigned to x is a positive number. So, ang gustong mangyari nitong problem na to is, kailangan nating malaman kung positive ba yung i-enter nating number sa mismong program or hindi. Kapag hindi po siya positive, automatic siyang mag-e-end na po yung mismong program. So, paano natin siya i-code? So, balik tayo dito. Okay. So, kailangan natin ng isang input from the user, which is the value of x. So, we will set the variable int x. Ayan. And then, cout, quotation, enter the value of x. Then, semicolon, cin, and then x. So, tapos na po natin makuha yung mismong value ng x from the user. Ang sabi dito, ang condition is, kailangan natin malaman kung ang value ng x is positive. So, paano ba natin malalaman kung ang value ng x is positive? Siyempre, lahat ng mga 0 hanggang pataas po, yun po yung mga positive numbers. So, ilalagay natin if, and then, after po ng if, sa loob po ng parenthesis yung condition na gusto natin. So, if x is greater than or equal to 0, so, ibig sabihin, lahat ng mas mataas sa 0 at kung ang number is equals to 0, ibig sabihin, positive siya. So, if, and then, sa loob ng parenthesis yung condition, and then, maglalagay po tayo ng brace sa may labas. So, brace. Sa loob po ng brace, yung gagawin mismo ng program kapag nag-true siya. So, lalagyan natin ng cout. If x is greater than or equals to 0, brace, cout, the value of x is positive. So, ayan. The value of x is positive. And then, semicolon. And then, we will run the program kasi tapos na po yung mismong program natin. Kasi, sabi nga dito kanina, which is, it is executed only if the logical condition evaluates to true. So, kapag nag-false siya, ibig sabihin negative, automatic na pong mag-e-end yung program. Kasi isa lang naman yung condition natin. So, true lang. Wala pong false. So, run na po natin yung program. and then enter the value of x. For example, 8. So, the value of x is positive. Paano naman kung negative yung in-enter po ni user? So, for example, negative 5 or 55. Ayan. So, negative 55. Ayan. So, kung mapapansin nyo po, wala pong display na information. Automatic na nag-end yung mismong program. So, ito po yung gamit ng if statement. True lang po yung kanyang nababasa, walang false. Which is, pinagkaiba naman nilang dalawa sa dito sa may if-else. Ang if-else naman, this command is used to distinguish between two states, either true or false. So, this is the condition. If the condition is true, merong mangyayaring action. And then, kapag false naman po, may mangyayari ding action. So, pareho din po silang mag-exit. So, dito sa ginawa natin kanina, kung mapapansin nyo, true lang yung meron. So, paano kapag if-else structure? So, ang gagawin lang po natin is, lalagyan natin ng else. Wala lang condition na ilalagay kasi automatic na yon. Na kapag hindi mas mataas or equal si x kay 0 is automatic na po siyang false. So, else, cout, the value of x is negative. Then, semicolon. So, nakalimutan dito yung bracket. Nasa loob po lagi ng bracket yung mismong action. Ayan. Pantay natin. Ayan. So, we will run the program. Enter the value of x. So, for example, positive muna. So, 8. The value of x is positive. Isa pa. Paano naman kung negative? So, kailangan may lalabas dyan na the value of x is negative. So, ayan. So, the value of x is negative. So, ganito po yung pagkukode kapag meron ng structure na if, else, or if statement. So, kapag if po, delete muna natin to. Kapag if, itong if, and then, kapag if po, nasa loob ng parenthesis yung condition, kaya ito yung gamit ng mga, yung sinabi ko last time na greater than or equal, less than or equal, and then merong equal or not equal. So, lahat po ng yun is dito po ilalagay sa mismong loob ng parenthesis after ng if. Tapos, sa loob po ng bracket, sa loob po ng brace, yung mismong gagawin ng program kapag nag-true. Dito po sa may if. Kapag if-else naman, hindi mo na kailangan maglagay dyan ng condition kasi automatic na kapag hindi ito tama or hindi siya true, automatic na ito na po yung ibibigay niya or kumbaga default. So, ayun po. Ito na siya. So, cout, the value of x is negative. So, dito sa exercise natin. So, create a program that will determine which is larger between two numbers. So, delete muna natin to. So, ang kailangan natin is dalawang variable, the x and y, or num1 and num2. So, kailangan nating humingi kay user ng dalawang number. So, for example, ang gagamitin lang natin is integer. So, int num1 is equals to 0, and then num2 is equals to 0, and then semicolon. Next, cout, lagyan din natin ng display kung ano ba yung gagawin nitong program. So, this program can determine the larger number between two numbers /n. this program can determine the larger number between two numbers. And then semicolon, saka natin hingiin yung mismong dalawang number. So, hingi tayo kay user ng isang number. So, enter the first number. Semicolon, saka natin ilagay si cin, and then num1. Next, si second number naman tayo. So, copy na lang muna natin to, saka natin palitan po para hindi na mas mabilis yung pagko-code. So, palitan natin si first ng second, and then dito kay num1 to num2. So, tapos na. Saka natin ilagay po yung mismong condition, which is if parenthesis, if num1 is greater than num2, anong gagawin niya? Sa loob ng brace, if num1 is greater than num2, ibig sabihin, cout the larger number is, pwede po natin ilagay yung mismong number, which is the larger number is num1. So, ibibigay niya po mismo yung number, kung ano yung tinype mismo ni user. So, pwede yan. So, the larger number is num1. Paano naman kung hindi mas mataas si num1 kay num2? Ibig sabihin, syempre, mas mataas si num2. So, else, lagyan natin si brace, else, cout, the larger number is, syempre, si num2. Semicolon. So, let's try to run the program. Syempre, huwag natin kakalimutan si return 0. Ayan. F11, this program can determine the larger number between two numbers. So, enter the first number. So, 9. Enter the second number. For example, 10. So, the larger number is 10. So, isa pa. Paano kung mas mataas si first number? F11. For example, 500. And then, the second number is 10. So, ayan. So, the larger number is 500. So, ito po yung gamit ng if and else. Syempre, kapag if lang yan, wala yang else. So, ayan. So, yun lang naman pinag-aiba nilang dalawa. Si if, true lang yung nababasa niya or isa lang yung condition. Kapag kay else, kapag if else, dalawa pong condition yung binigay mismo ng problem or yung gagawin nating program. Paano naman kung mas marami sa dalawa? Mas marami sa dalawa yung conditions. Ayan. If, else, if structure. This statement is used if there are several possible conditions to check more. Kapag mas mataas sa dalawa yung kondisyon na meron tayo. So, ayan. Kung makikita nyo, entry, if the condition is true, and then true action. Kapag false, magtatanong siya ulit. Else if the condition is true, true action, false, ito ulit. Ulit siya, tatanong siya ulit. Else if the condition is true, true action, and then kapag nag-false na siya, syempre, mag-exit na po siya. So, ito yung gagawin po natin. So, the problem is, kailangan nating humingi or kailangan nating hingin yung student number at yung average score ng isang student. So, if the score is less than 75%, print poor. If the score is greater than or equals to 78 but less than 88%, print good. And then, if the score is greater than 88, print very good. So, paano ba natin gagawin yan? So, let's go back to the program. Delete po natin to dahil bago ng program yung gagawin natin. So, ayan. So, ang kailangan dito is dalawang information. So, student name and his average score. So, yun po yung kukunin natin kay user. So, string name, student name, string name, and then, gawin na lang nating float. So, float average. And then, next, kukunin na po natin yung name at saka yung average. So, cout, enter your name. Semicolon, cin, name. Dito na kasi natin ilalagay yung name. And then, cout, enter your average. Semicolon, and then cin, and then average. Next na po natin yung mismong condition, which is if the score is, or the average score is less than 75 and poor, and then good and very good. So, paano natin yan i-code? So, our first one is we will type the if, and then the first condition, which is if the average score is less than 75, print poor. If average is less than 75, then brace, cout. So, tawagin din natin yung pangalan para at least meron siyang gamit. So, hello name, and then another quotation, hello name, comma, your average is poor, semicolon. So, ayun na po yung unang condition natin. Paano yung pangalawang condition, which is if the average score is greater than or equal to 75 but less than 88, print good. So, ang ilalagay po natin dyan is else if. So, dahil tatlo po yung condition natin, ang gagamitin po natin is if, and then else if, and then yung pinakahuli po is else. Paano naman kung apat yung condition? So, kapag apat po yung condition, the same. So, pinakauna, if muna yung gagamitin natin, and then else if, and then sa pangatlo, else if ulit, and then sa pang-apat, yung pinakahuli is yung else. So, yun po yung paggamit ng if, else if statement. So, else if, yung pangalawang condition, which is average is greater than or equal to 75, and then meron siyang but less than 88. So, ang gagamitin po natin dito is yung dalawang and na na-discuss last time. Hindi pwedeng or, kasi kapag or, parang pinapamili mo lang si mismong program kung anong babasahin niya. Unlike kapag and, na kung saan, kahit na ano dun sa dalawa, same yung ilalabas niyang information which is nasa baba mamaya na cout. So, after ito, if average is greater than or equal to 75 and average is less than to 88, then brace, copy po muna natin to, saka natin palitan yung sa pinakadulo na poor to good. So, kapag ang average score ng user is greater than or equal to 75 but less than 88 and less than 88, ayan. So, from 75 hanggang 87, good po yung kailangang na-display ng mismong program. And then, paano naman kung 88 and above? So, saka natin ilagay si else. So, hindi na natin siya lalagyan ng parentheses kasi hindi na kailangan. Yun yung pinaka-default. Else, cout. Paste po natin yung kanina. And then, palitan lang natin itong dulo ng very good. Ayan. So, and then, wag natin kakalimutan si return 0. So, ito na po yung pinaka-code ng ating program. So, let us try to run the program. F11. Ayan. So, type your name. So, umpisahan muna natin kapag less than 75. So, for example, 74. So, ayan. So, hello, Maylene. Your average is poor. Paano naman kung nasa 10 lang? For example, 10. Tingnan natin kung mababasa pa din. So, poor pa din yan. So, ayan. Hello, Maylene. Your average is poor. Paano naman kung 75 hanggang 77? So, let us try 75 and 87. So, May muna. And then, average, 75. So, ayan. So, lumabas po yung good. So, let us try 87. Maylin or May. And then, 87. So, kailangan, ang lalabas dyan is good pa din. Kasi less than 88. So, ayan. So, makikita nyo dyan, good naman. And then, last naman, try po natin yung sa may else, which is 88 and above. So, for example, 88. Lagay mo natin yung pangalan. And then, 88. So, ayan. So, hello, Mylene. Your average is very good. So, for example, 100. May, then 100. So, the same po. Very good pa rin yung sagot. So, ito po yung paraan ng pagkukode ng if kapag isa lang yung condition, if else kapag dalawang condition, and then if else if kapag 3 and above po yung mga condition na kailangan sa mismong program. So, I hope you learned something for today's discussion, and our midterm will be next week. So, thank you very much and have a good day.